Good morning, you guys. Yeah, well, mostly it's afternoon. I would like to get into a whole new group of chats. All right, I'm going to minus you down. I've been working on the infancy gospel. All right, I've never heard of it before, but I kind of on the outside have heard a few things, and now they're all clarified. The infancy gospel of Thomas. All right, it means it was written of Thomas, but it was about Jesus. Okay. And in order to get you like on the right page here is you have to know that the child, when Jesus is telling us in our Bible to tell what heaven is like, we're supposed to picture little children all over the place. And he tells us the idea that you can't be coming into heaven unless you come as a child. And so all the stories about ideas of whenever we go under and when we go under and visit this place, this heaven, this neighborhood of Jesus and all the rest of those guys, that we come as children. And even in our last stories that we did with, which was that Thomas, the Book of Thomas, not Book of Thomas, John. All right. When at the end they all the brethren go out in the boat, they want to go fishing, and Jesus hollers out them to toss their nets over to the right side, and he asked them to children if you had anything for me to eat or something like that. If there was any food, he asked the children. So that's right away telling you that they're in heaven when they're doing all of this. There's a particular place, even no matter what your idea is that when they get in and out of the boats and stuff like that, this is stuff that happens inside our brain in heaven. And this is where heaven is. Heaven is up in here. And when you can turn it on, you walk around with heaven on you all the time. So what we get here is these wonderful stories that are numbered. So the code is smooth. It works very well in these stories. That I'd like to read the first 1 through 9 to you, if I could. What this is it's going through the 4 stages of consciousness, and it's going to deliver us on number 9. And then there's another story and another story and another as he grows older. All right. But first off, we're going to say that this was when he is 5 years old. This is the beginning of the conversations, or the story, as he's 5. And Thomas is talking to brethren of Gentiles. So I shouldn't have to tell you your brethren is the one that you send up there. This is your child. So this is all about children. This is about heaven, and you are children in heaven. Oh, these are the other guys that are up there playing with Jesus, and this is all happening on the Sabbath. On the Sabbath day, he's out there playing with a bunch of children, and he's playing at a brook. And he's down at where the brook splits and comes down into 2, and he forms 2 little pools of water. And at the same time, he makes these 12 sparrows out of mud, out of a clay that he had made himself. So what you're getting here is you're getting the mixture of the clay and the water, which is the solid and the spirit. And it's on number 2. Just beautiful. Well, while he was doing all of this, some Jew was watching what was going on, and he reported to his father Joseph. And he says, your son just did this, just made these 12 birds, and he defiled the Sabbath day by playing on the Sabbath day, and all through this is saying, he's got other friends playing with him too. So anyways, so when he came to it, he says that, and this is, so what happens is he was being told on, right? And so what Jesus does on the Sabbath, he claps his hands together, and they all take flight and find another way, find a home, or whatever they do. They went away chirping. And the Jews that saw it were amazed, and they departed and told their chief men what they had seen Jesus do. So here we come to 3, all right? But the son of the scribe was standing there, and Joseph, standing there with Joseph. And he took a branch of a willow and dispersed the waters which Jesus had gathered together. And when Jesus saw what he had done, he was wroth, and he said to him, "O evil and ungodly and foolish one, what did the pools of water do to thee? Behold, now also thou shalt be withered like a tree, and thou shalt bear no leaves, neither root nor fruit." And straightway the lad withered up wholly. And Jesus departed and went into Joseph's house. But the parents of the withered, took him up, bewailing his youth, and brought him to Joseph, accused him, for that thou hast such a child which does such deeds. So they're not really happy with Jesus at this particular time. But they're kind of freaking out this idea that anything that comes out of his mouth becomes some kind of a deed, even if it's good or bad. And what we get out of this one here is we get a slapping. We get the 4. He's going to wither like a tree. And that means he's not going to have any water in him. He's not going to have any truth. This is a curse, all right? And that's what he was brought down here to curse people. He brought down, curse them, and then he's going to turn around and save us. But anyways, you're going to wither like a tree. That's the west, all right? You're not going to bear any leaves, and this is going to be the emotional side, the north. You're not going to root, which is the south. This is our body, our physical side. And you're not going to bear any fruit, and that's our spiritual side, number 4. All right? And so straight away, this happened to him. Then when they say straight away, when he says jump, he means you're supposed to say how high. He knows how it works. So we get over here to 4, which actually does mean worlds. And again, he went through the village. The village is this world. And a child ran and dashed up against him and pissed him off. And he said, "You're not going to finish your trip." And he died right there on the spot. And this was just crazy. So what is it that this young child, that everything he says comes to life? It's just crazy. So anyways, they come to Joseph. They blaming him, saying, "Look at what your child does done. You can't dwell in this village, or you need to teach him to bless and not curse. For he slayeth our children." Oh, we get down to 5. 5 is going to be the body. He's going to be representing the physical side. All right. All right. So what do we get out of this? And Joseph called the young child apart and admonished him, saying, "What do you do these things for? We're going to suffer. They're going to make us hate us, persecute us." But Jesus says, "I know that these are not your words, but thine. Nevertheless, for your sake, I will hold my peace, but they shall bear their punishment." And straightway, they that accused him were smitten with blindness. They were so sore, afraid, perplexed, and said concerning him that every word which he spake, whether it be good or bad deed, became a marvel. And then he saw that Jesus had done. Joseph arose and took upon his ear and took hold of his ear and wrung it sore. And the young child was wroth, said to him, I suffice thee to seek and not find, and not to find. And verily thou hast done unwisely. Knowest that not that I am thine. Knowest that I am thine. Vex me not. So don't fuck with me. Well, anyways, with Joseph, what this is doing, this is this is five. Five is the people. This is the brethren are all part of this five. So what he's done is, and he has now smited them with blindness. And this is this idea that now they can't see, that we seek that they cannot find. This is the curse that he's put on us. But we're working this out. Remember, we're in this to get out of that. All right, so it's really cool. We're in this meditation to get out of the control of this. All right, and to break this spell that we are under. And then we get down to 6. All right, and we get a teacher show up here. Okay, this is Zacchaeus by name, and he stood there, and he marveled greatly at what this young kid had said. Well, anyways, he was sitting there listening, and it takes 2 days, or it takes a couple of days, maybe 3 days, a few days, before he came near to Joseph. Says this has a wise child, and he's wanting to tell them this. He says, I'm going to teach him the Alpha and the Omega. This is going to be great. So, what happens is that, Jesus kind of makes fun of him, says, you don't know shit, How are you going to tell them this, and you're going to tell them that? And this is where a lot of, at the very end of this one here, which is 6 is going to represent the works. And they're talking about the Alpha and the Omega and the Beta, the Alpha. So this is some wonderful stuff coming in here, but there's holes in the text. And so we don't get to know what that is. I can only guess, because it says down at the end, it's talking about that thou has lines and a middle mark. So something about the midst. Which thou seest, common to both, going apart, coming together, raised up on high, dancing, 3 signs, like in kind, balanced, equal in measure. Thou hast the rules of the Alpha. It's just, I can put all those things together because I'm knowing what happens when it comes down to our chakra system. Here we are on the 6th, which is where he's talking about, this is the works. And it ends, well, someone's trying to teach him how to do something. He says, listen, I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you. Because when he says hypocrite, he calls him a hypocrite, and it's this teacher, Zacchaeus. He said, you don't know shit. You're teaching me something, but you don't know nothing. So this is an outside teacher teaching him something, right? And he says, I'm the one. I know. I'll tell you what it is. But I'm going to show you what it means to be beta. And so when beta is cut down to then all of a sudden, this is the chakra system. All right, let's go further. Let's go to 7. And now Zacchaeus. The teacher heard such and so many allegories for the first letter spoken. He says, take him away, for I cannot even see or look at his face. I cannot even think. I'm so lost at this smarts of this child, and it was like, oh my God, I'm out of my mind. This is this whole idea. He's taking him through the chakras, and what he does is he yells. He goes here down at the we get 8. 8 is the next one. And the Jews were canceling Zacchaeus. And the young child laughed greatly and said, now let those bear fruit that were barren, and let them see that were blind in the heart. For I am come that I may curse them and call them to the things that are above, even as he commanded with hath No, 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 no. And the child ceased speaking, and immediately all they were made whole, which were under his curse. And no man after that durst provoke him, lest he should curse him, and he should be maimed. All right, so this becomes an 8 as a control number. And at the same time, Jesus is laughing, he's making all, and everyone has been done better. Everyone. Even, let's go here, it says, and now for certain Jesus was playing, I don't want to do that one yet because that seals the deal. Number 9, I don't want to give that up. But the young child ceased speaking immediately, and everyone was brought back to life. Even that first teacher that was the idea that he says, you know, that and now you'll. He took all his curses away, and that's what happens. 8 becomes a control number. Now 9 is a conscious number. Now, after a certain days, Jesus was playing in the upper story of a certain house. One of the young children that played with him fell down from the house and died. And the other children, when they saw it, fled. Jesus remained alone. The parents of him that was dead came accusing him that he had cast him down. Jesus said, I did not cast him down. But they rivaled him anyways. Then Jesus leaped down from the roof, stood by the body of the child, and cried with a loud voice and said, Zeno, for that was his name, arise and tell me, did I cast thee down? And straightway he rose, and he said, Nay, Lord, thou didst not cast me down, but didst raise me up. And when they saw it, they were amazed, and his parents and the child glorified God for the sign which had come to pass, and began to worship Jesus. That's 9. All right, so what did we get out of 9? What do you get if you were listening? This idea that a certain day Jesus was playing in the upper story of a certain house. He was up in the story of his father's house in Joseph. That's his father. Remember, Joseph did not have to father this child because he came from God, and God gave him Jesus, and Jesus is in spirit. It's his son. All right, so what do we get out of this is we'll find that Jesus was in the upper story, and the other one that fell off with him, because these were the two witnesses, Father and the Son. And it was the Father that fell, and he called him Zeno. Zeno, if you look up the word Zeno, is Zeus. It's another father. It's another name for father. But anyways, the child was going through the idea that he was on the roof, and then he goes in. He's not dead. He's not dead. And he stood beside him, and he says, what's going on? What's up? You know, it's just like whenever he raised Lazarus. You know, he stood out and he yelled, told him to come out. You know, this was not a death. This was to show how God's work, how God's glory and the mystery works. Is that it's that shadow, as though I walk through the shadow. They make us lay down in green pastures. That's the earth side. But as we walk through this valley, the shadow of death, not to fear anything. But anyways, as we get moving along, it's the idea that the Father was the one that died. It is the outside of us that dies in order to get this Jesus to come alive. And then with just this little conversation, Jesus winds up waking this guy, and he says, tell him. And he says, no, you didn't put me down, but you sure did raise me up. All right, so you guys, those were the first 9 Those are the first 9 parts of the story, and they work beautifully. But they have the number system going on, but each one of these numbers has numbers within themselves as well. That's the cool stuff. So I've learned a lot about this. Uh, the mixing with the clay with the water, making the blind, and all these wonderful things are being used in these stories. And so, why we don't see anything about Jesus' childhood, and maybe why they erased this out of this, is that it shows him to be kind of mean and ornery. And they said that maybe he's going to go against him never sinning and stuff like that. Because look what he's doing on the Sabbath, even during those days, you know. But these wonderful things never happened on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or Saturday. They only happen on Sabbath. That's the only time. It's the only time that this Lord does beautiful things. And slapping his hands is smiting, and these things fly off. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful story. Now, there's going to be another 9 after this. Maybe it comes to 10 because there's going to be a cap at the end of the story. So it's the whole idea about going in, killing the old side and raising him up and bringing him back alive, bringing this person on the other side. So, and this all happens inside of us. It all happens in heaven. And we're all children. We're little babies. All of us are little babies. All right. This is what we're doing at 5 years old. Now we have more scripture coming in, but I'm going to take them piece by piece. All right. Anyways, I hope you got something out of this. All right. Chat with you soon.